Around the Ozarks is now on your FM radio. Listen to Around the Ozarks mornings with Grace Gooley as I spotlight local people, stories, and podcasts, all while playing the country legends of the 90s and the hit makers of the 2000s. It's on the Ozarks Best Country, 105.1 The Bull. It's time for Around the Ozarks Sports Scene, brought to you by Colton's Steakhouse and Thompson Sales. Here's your host, Scott Purrier.
Welcome into another edition of Around the Ozarks Sports Scene. I am Scott Purrier. As always, a big thank you to you for tuning in this week as we talk sports in the Ozarks and beyond. And today we're going to capitalize on all the hype and hysteria and fun around Missouri State football by talking to a couple guys who are a big part of the behind-the-scenes fundraising work for Missouri State's football program. Welcome in Trevor Crist and Kirk Elmquist of the Missouri State Football Players Association. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Scott.
Our pleasure.
You betcha. Yeah, I almost said Missouri State Coaches Association, and it's actually, you guys are all coaches in the stands, but this is an organization that basically is, from my understanding, is when Coach Ryan Beard needs something, you guys try to find the money to make it happen. Is that accurate, Trevor?
Yeah, I think it, with the collective, whenever it was started, it was to advance the efforts of Missouri State football in several different ways that I'm sure Kirk will help me go into, both from a mentoring standpoint with the fifth quarter program, but also with some of the rev share compensation structure that we've, navigated over the last couple of years through the very quick, 4-year evolution of that system.
Kirk, I mean, it's a different world now. You were a college football player way back when, not way back then, but way back when. And now we have NIL, and we have guys that are in the transfer portal, and their first question out of a lot of mouths is, what can you pay me? And that's really kind of, I know you guys are doing a lot of other things, but that's really kind of where we are in 2025 with college football, and every program needs something like you guys are doing. Kind of tell me a little bit about the evolution of how this all came about.
Well, Trevor and I were recruited by the legend Dennis Hine, all-time sack leader at Missouri State, who went on to play in the pros, who's a local guy and had a tremendous buying business. And he's had a passion for these years. And I said, well, I didn't play there. I stood around at Liberty University for 4 years. And I remember when you guys came in and beat us in '89, he said, well, we want to extend our reach a little bit. We'd like to bring you in. And by the way, you have a special skill set in running golf tournaments. We would like for you to run our golf tournament. And this is when Bobby Petrino was hired. So, of course, golf tournaments are easy for me. It's not a hard thing. And, I've trained it for many years in this area. But one of the big things was I wasn't going to do something that looked like every other golf tournament, just coming off of Legends Golf.
We lost Kirk there. We'll get him back in just a second. Trevor, you want to continue on that concept?
Yeah, as Kirk was saying, when I of course have worked with Kirk for several years on different initiatives and through different organizations, but Dennis and I had actually never connected, and what we found were the three of us were really pressing for Missouri State to capitalize on the Petrino hire at that time. I grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska, and so I saw how football can be the front door of a community, and was, just very, very motivated to see that happen in the Springfield area. And, when there wasn't a lot of support behind it, there were even some talks of, whether to continue the program. Football is an expensive, logistic heavy operation. And when they hired Bobby Petrino, that most of us saw that as the most bold move, not only in football, but as a university that we had ever made. And so the opportunity was, look, you either need to embrace this and capitalize on it now, or you're not taking football serious. And so that's really where this initiative through the Missouri State Football Player Association started focusing on fundraising, as Kirk was talking about. Starting with the golf tournament that he runs, that's our largest fundraiser of the year, and being able to use that to build the program and give the coaches the tools they need.
Kirk's having a little internet issue. We'll hopefully get him back here in a second. How many golf tournaments have you had now in the organization's history?
So, looking back, I think that we are on. We confirmed this with Kirk, our third. So we're getting ready. Next May will be our fourth. But we've worked through the first 3 years of the golf tournament, and had a little bit of a different format every year. It's been a big success. It's been mainly corporate based, but we're always looking to expand its reach.
How many players? And obviously, you've not had any trouble here of late getting teams to participate. What do you guys make on a good tournament this year?
So, a lot of times it really depends on whether we incorporate the auction with our golf tournament, which we did for the first couple years of the tournament, and then Kirk, we got you.
Yeah, I hope so. I apologize, man. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, sometimes it's an internet issue. We'll just carry on. We'll just welcome you back when you come back like that. But
all right.
Yeah, Trevor's talking about the golf tournaments and the success of it. And one of my favorite things I saw was Ryan Beard jumped in fully clothed into the pool for what another $100,000 or something like that.
Yeah, I was running the auction, and I get wild hairs because I'm not a trained auctioneer. I just kind of feel and play along. And I saw Tom Strong standing in the background. I'm kind of like, well, I'm going to ask for $1 million. Why wouldn't you? You don't ask, you don't get. So
Yeah.
I said, hey, Beard, I know you got a town and county outfit on my son built for you, and you got some very expensive Italian shoes. Why don't you go do a gainer off the diving board? Would you do it for $1 million? Would anybody take? Would anybody take? He goes, I'm in. Let's go. Nobody takes it at $1 million. We go to 750, 500. We're at 250. I'm about to shut it down. Somebody raises their hand. I'll do $100,000. So he gets on. I make him take his shoes off, but he goes in the rest of his outfit. And Dennis Heim and Annie Heim stepped up for $100,000 to get our program started that night. But we like to have fun. We like to do unique experiences. And that was a nice pop on top of a $250,000, $300,000 golf tournament, because my whole element is I don't want to do what's been done in our community. I want very limited access to our tournament. I want a very high investment for your team. We want to be done in 4 hours. We want to have a nice meal, tremendous gift pack, and a traditional item that's given every year that creates legacy. And we've accomplished that. We'll be coming up on I think it's our fourth tournament coming up, and just very excited about where it's going.
I can imagine if you tried this 10 years ago, it would have been really hard to get going. And here we are in 2025, and Bears football is the hot topic in our area on December 2nd. And, in the past, early November, it was like we like to joke on the radio show, it was thump time because basketball was taking over. Football would have a crowd of 1,000 or maybe 2 on the November games, and it was an afterthought. But Bobby got it started. Ryan Beard has continued that momentum from built by his father-in-law. And here we are with the Bears at 7-5 in their first season of FBS level play, their first season in Conference USA. They go 5-3. When a lot of people, I remember having Phil Steele on this podcast back in July, and Phil Steele had the Bears ranked 131 out of 136 teams, and so just talk both of you about, I guess, taking advantage of this situation now. What has it done for your organization in terms of interest and guys saying, hey, I want to be a part of that and be a part of the program?
Well, I think the ranking, we're 71st in the country right now today. And wherever I go and I've got a logo on, and we really pushed the most state thing before it was a popular thing. We didn't get permission. We just put it out there on our branded items. We put COS USA logo out there going into it. And we're kind of unaffiliated with Missouri State officially. And we just stayed in that collective mode of we're kind of renegades out here raising money to help out. because for 30 years it got ignored. Now it's kind of like people are calling me, can I sit in your seats? Hey, how do I get in that end zone? Hey, do you have a parking pass? Hey, there's nowhere to park. And our vision is we've stayed very quiet behind the scenes with our organization, and the past regime that just left here didn't have much to do with us. The new regime is very engaged with us. They're very appreciative of the hundreds of thousands of dollars we're trying to assist and shoehorn to help out the program. And like Trevor took over as president this year, and he and I ham and egg pretty well. He has strengths that are my weaknesses, and he doesn't have any weaknesses, but I mean, I've got a lot, so he fills in a lot of those spots.
His main weakness is he hangs around with Matt Miller too much, probably at times, right, Trevor?
That's not a bad one.
Yeah.
To be fair to the other two, you should probably clarify which Matt Miller you're talking about.
Oh yeah. That's a good one. How many are there?
Matt, basketball Matt, and red-haired Matt, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and I think part of why AD Patrick Ransdell, in his second full year now, and his administration embraces what you guys are doing is they need you. I mean, the competitive landscape right now is such that, Ryan Beard can have a great year. He can, have star players, and there's a Power 4 school that's sniffing around and trying to poach them right off the roster. And you got to have something to be able to counter with. And that's when Coach Beard comes to you guys, right? And says, hey, I got a guy, we need to try to keep him, or I got a guy we can try to get. Is that where that dialogue begins with the association?
Yeah. So, and with Coach Beard, we're extremely fortunate. He's very engaged with the association / collective, not only from those conversations, but also what makes him unique to a lot of coaches is he is our biggest fundraiser. So he's out there pushing our brand, doing events, he and Katie with us, helping us raise those funds, not just asking for them. And so that's been a great relationship. As you know, I think that we are in already our fourth version in 3.5 years of what NIL looks like. We can now work with the coaching staff and have that conversation where the very first version, we couldn't even do that. And so, if they've got a player that either they're trying to keep, that is an opportunity for the program, we work together to try to keep that player. I think Jacob Clark, our quarterback, is probably the best example of that and the difference that can make in a season for 2025. And then also there's other times that, and Kirk can speak to this better than I can, but there's also times when he'll come to us and it may not be about keeping a player, it's about helping a player. You get these kids sometimes that don't have resources, and we transport them halfway across the country with no, we are their community and their, resources locally. And so that's another way that we've been able to, work with them and make a difference.
Kirk, be honest, when this year started, I mean, I bought season tickets for the first time. I was excited, a new frontier with Conference USA. Of course, here's the thing. We have still never been in our seats because I always run into Mike Kraft and I wind up down there with you guys in the end zone. My wife's like, why would we go up there? So I've got no good answer on that. But when this season started, first year, you got the USC game that goes lopsided as expected, maybe a little more lopsided than expected. But did you really envision that this was possible? I mean, they were pushing 8 or 9 wins this season. What were your expectations, starting with you, Kirk?
Well, I think 500 was a goal as I started to look at things. I talked early about we could be SMU, and we should have. We definitely were in the right spot with Marshall. Great situation. And the last 2 drops are very disappointing. I think the loss to Kennesaw was very disappointing, but I had us at 500 for the year based on the 2 biggies that we had to really get after. And then, of course, being from Liberty, I kind of knew the lay of the land, where they've been, what Liberty had to go through to get to the Fiesta Bowl against Oregon a couple of years ago. Liberty's down. I didn't think we would beat Liberty at Liberty because that's just a tremendous home field advantage. But it was such a pleasure to go back and host some very, very high-level corporate partners and be their host in Lynchburg. Really a lot of good memories for me in that tie-in. But 500, probably, Scotty, was where I thought we'd be.
Trevor?
Yeah, I would agree. I think first year, in Conference USA, I think that one of the advantages we had, in addition to a very dynamic, coaching staff and game plan there was, everyone outside of the program talked about us leveling up. But let's face it, man, Missouri Valley, that is a tough conference. And we were used to playing some really, really stout talent. And I think people outside of Southwest Missouri weren't aware of that. But even with that, I think seeing the USCs and the SMUs on the schedule, I felt like 500 would have been a success. 6 wins would have been knock it out of the park. We had. I know you'll probably talk a little bit more about this because it's what everyone's talking about right now in Southwest Missouri, which is exciting. But I remember Kirk Dennis and I having a conversation in the Twin Oaks parking lot 4 years ago, and we said, can you imagine if 15 to 20 years from now someone ever saw Missouri State in a bowl game? And so to see it happen this quick has just been remarkable. And like Coach Beard told us the other day, he said, there's staffs that level up a program, and it takes them 20 years to build something that can compete. So to see what they've done this year and to get us into a bowl eligible is just unbelievable.
We had Corey Riggs on our radio program this morning, comes on every Tuesday with us with the Missouri State Report. And we got to talking about the bowl eligibility and bowl bound and where people wanted to see the Bears go. And I think it's a consensus that with the momentum you're building, it'd be nice to go to Hawaii or go to Fenway Park or some of those places. But being within driving distance, maybe to a Dallas or something, might be the best thing for continuing to grow your organization. Could it not be? Maybe.
Well, I fully agree that Frisco would be ideal for us. 6-hour drive or jump on an American flight or, whatever you want to do. Yeah, for us to go to Hawaii, that's a massive expense. I mean, granted, they get reimbursed, but you're going to really limit the maroon and black and white in the stands if you do that.
And it'd be a fun trip, but you'd still have just a handful of people, kind of like you had go to USC and things like that. I think there'd be a few more with the emotion that's involved now and the momentum they built. I wanted to ask you about, and I was talking about the Bud Light Zone and what a great party Mike Kraft and his folks throw down there. But you guys are the ultimate stopping point pregame there at the north end zone with your tent right there. I mean, that's where the who's who of Bears fans have to come by there at least for a little while. Have you seen that grow year by year a little bit? And this year, is that kind of at a peak? And is that an opportunity for you guys to bring more people into your organization, recruit them in with their donations?
Yeah, the us doing the Missouri State Football Player Association, memberships, people joining that effort. That I mentioned earlier, we have a couple of fundraising efforts. The largest being the golf tournament that Kirk has already talked about a little bit. We also during the summer, typically in July or early August, do our kickoff dinner with the Beards, which was a big success this year as well. That was an auction that used to be a part of our golf tournament that we split off into its own event. And then the third one being, people that join our effort and, they, will join the organization, if you will, to support the organization, which they can do at MissouriStateFootball.org. So MissouriStateFootball.org. And that's where they can contact us if they have an interest in getting involved, but also if they would like to join the effort, that's where they go on to do that. And Scott, as you mentioned, as part of that package, what we've put together, and this year, Old Missouri Bank and Will Fisher Bud Light were our partners in that end zone. They've just been fantastic partners in that area. It's a fun tailgate. We take care of everything for people whenever they get there, food, beverage, great place to hang out underneath the tent, and know where you're going to land whenever you get to the game. But to your point, and the reason I think Kirk was laughing when you asked if it had expanded, we almost tripled that engagement this year. And we got a text message, frantically about 2 weeks before the first home game, and said, hey, we're almost to the number where we said we were going to shut it down. What should we do? And I said, well, don't ask Elmquist because he'll say, just let it ride. And so we let it ride and just kept shoving people in there all season long.
It's like Seward R City during Christmas, right, Kirk? With your Branson guys there.
Yeah.
Come on in. We got room.
Yeah.
We got
room. There's plenty. I see empty ground. You can stand over there,
Yeah. It's like a football game minus the funnel cake of Seward R City, basically, I think. But,
my event management experience over the 30-year career in business is it's better to take ad tables than to take tables down. And our thing is, people go out of town. They don't show up every game. They don't show up when it rains, when it gets a little cold. They don't show up. So oversell it. You're never really going to be in that bad of a situation, especially when all your beverage and your food's included. And you said it best. It's the place to be. It's a place to be seen. It's fun. The bear walks right in front of us. There's a popularity to it. And then we're very strict on children being in it. You're carded. You're very detailed on who gets in and who gets out, and you have to pay your fee to be involved. You're wristbanded. So we have really improved that. And Riley Shantz, who's on our board of directors, former player for the Bears, he has taken this thing on like it's a job for him. And he's really made some great, great strides over the past few years.
Trevor, explain to me and explain to the listeners, Missouri State has a competitive excellence fund. It's separate from what you guys are doing, correct? Or is that not correct? Explain how those two both benefit, because there is a football category, if you go to their website, athletics website, that you can contribute. What is the difference?
So they are different. However, we currently work together. The quick chronological order of NIL was whenever this started 4 years ago, the university couldn't be a part of it and the coaching staff could not be a part of it. Very quickly, they allowed us to work with the coaching staff to be a part of it. Then the university could be a part of the conversation and the promotion, but not the funding. And then, these universities, rightfully so, realized they were losing their own programs to their collectives. By not being a part of that. So miraculously, higher education is really, really good at legislation and at lobbying. And so, almost overnight, they passed a House bill this summer back in June, which kind of flipped the script. And what that did was it allowed the universities to be able to do a revenue share up to $20,500,000 per university per year. So that's across all initiatives. Obviously at Missouri State, we're not hitting our head on that glass ceiling quite yet, but that was a number they threw out there. And as part of that settlement, that's going to be an incremental increase over the next 10 years. They have not set the exact number yet, but they're showing, right now, or they're suggesting, that that's going to be about a $33 million cap in 10 years. So as part of that, the other part was that collectives, organizations, so Missouri State Football Player Associations, you could no longer exist solely for the function of paying players. If you are an organization with another function, so if you are a normal business and you want to pay a player, you can do so. But the collectives were no longer able to just directly pay players for that. So what we have done is we work in conjunction with the university. And now, to your point, one of our number one, we didn't have the ability to do it, but number two, one of the concerns was always that this was going to go to football and that this was going to benefit football long term. So they have set up their competitive excellence fund, Dash Football. They have one for basketball and other sports as well, that is designated specific to that effort. And so what our collective has been doing is that we allocate a portion of our budget, which is a discussion amongst our board with the coaching staff, the administration, Patrick Ransdale, our AD, and we kind of come up with a collective plan. And whatever we're going to give to that fund, we actually give our contribution now to that competitive excellence fund.
Okay, so it's a way of doing that without violating the rules, and you going directly to a player. If Coach Baird has a request, you just donate to the fund, and then they go the proper channels, correct, to do that?
That's correct. It also opens up, not to get too in the weeds on it, but the other challenge we had early on was that there's some tax implication where if you are a tax exempt and nonprofit organization, you have to give they don't tell you a number, they don't tell you a percentage, but you have to give a certain amount to what they call the greater good rather than directly paying players. And so we actually had two organizations set up, one for individual contributions, one for corporate contributions. But by using the Competitive Excellence Fund through the university, it's managed by the foundation. So we don't have those same restraints whenever we are, wanting to be able to fund those NIL efforts.
It's a fascinating world and scary and for traditional fans, a little frustrating the way this has all gone. Being a lifelong OU fan, the numbers leak out. I mean, like John Mateer, the quarterback's making $1 million plus this year, and they paid $750,000 for a running back from California that came and get off the sidelines. They didn't really do the research well enough on that, but you guys are kind of behind the curtain a little bit. We're talking about not the Power 4 schools where, I mean, if Nebraska or Michigan or somebody wants a Bear, it's going to be hard for you guys to be able to come up with enough to keep that guy unless he just really loves playing for Coach Beard, which they do, so there's other pulls there. But you guys kind of see behind the curtain. And at this level of the lower level FBS programs, the new programs, if you will, the group of fives, what does that look like money-wise? I mean, you guys talk to Coach Beard. Are we talking tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands? What does it cost to keep a really good Bear, you think, in today's market? See who wants to jump on that one first. What's that?
Yeah, it's all over the board. You've got some kids that are standing third string at Penn State or Ole Miss that you can go attain for, between $25,000 and $100,000. You may have an opportunity to get somebody an extra meal ticket or an extra $500 a month because he's struggling with his own personal finances. Some people need a car. We've got car relationships, we got clothing relationships, but we don't have that $1 million opportunity. We probably got $1 million over the 4 and 5 years that we're looking toward, and we're growing as things get older. But we're in the $1,000 to $10,000 to $20,000 window across the board.
Did it open your eyes, Trevor, a little bit to what's going on now in football at all levels when you started getting into this a little bit?
Well, yeah, especially with the changing landscape. And as Kirk said, what is really unique is, and this is my one concern. I was in an interview the other day and someone asked, what my personal opinion was on this NIL and was it going to, hurt the sport, which everybody brings up, or do I agree with it? And as I told him, it's like anything else in life. The headline news you see on SportsCenter every night, those numbers are thin air. Right. That is not most universities. Because think about this, we're talking about a ceiling on an entire university across all sports being 20,500,000. That's not something we're worried about right now. But right now you got Oregon that has a starting football salary of $30 million. Okay. So where does all this line up? Right. Yeah. But the advantages is, number one, I'm completely in favor of it because, for a long time, everyone other than the kids have been making a lot of money off this game. Right. So to see these guys, especially guys that probably are not going to have an opportunity in most cases to go to the next level, be able to profit and, benefit themselves and their family whenever this whole time they've been benefiting everybody else. I think that's a total win and should have happened a long time ago. I think where the flaw is in the lack of control. I think we've ended up with a Major League Baseball issue here where you can't battle the Yankees payroll, and that's going to create some natural separation. I will tell you, though, the positive side that I've seen from Missouri State is, number one, even though I don't really like everything about the transfer portal, because I grew up back whenever, you were building walk-on programs, a guy wouldn't see the field till his junior, senior year, but I'm getting old whenever I say that. But the transfer portal benefits a Missouri State, because what we've seen with some of our guys is, and I won't name any names, but Kirk will know exactly who I'm talking about. Some of our higher paid players, they were offered more money to go to other programs, Power 5 schools, for some of their later years. And they said, well, I can go there and make a little bit more money and never see the field unless somebody gets hurt. Or I can go to Missouri State, and I'll tell you what, if you can bump up my pay by $1,000 a month, I'll come play for you and be a hero. And so we're seeing a lot of opportunities in getting some really talented kids we would not have gotten pre-transfer portal, because they would have been stuck where they were at, hoping that they were going to play for the Alabamas and the OUs and some of these guys. And now they're like, man, I want to play. And so you'll get those thin air guys, but the other guys, the amount is still very, very reasonable in my mind. Kirk's not wrong. We have guys that we've pulled here for $500 a month, just because guess what? They need a stipend so they get groceries.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I think Ryan Beard may be the best hire in this century from Missouri State, with just the enthusiasm he's brought. And he's made football a thing again, like I said, in this area. We know the history of Missouri State. We know what happens when you have somebody really, really good. Somebody else wants him, or her. We've seen that with the Lady Bears basketball every time they get on a big roll there too. Level of concern with, should we have made Beard stop at 6-6, and stop this? Dan and I talk in the morning that, given the facilities he needs and watch him continue to grow, he seems like a guy that's what's important to him, is finishing what he started. Would you agree?
Well, I'm intricately involved with him on a daily basis. I talk to him every day. It's either a text or a phone call, or we do a devotional together on game day and leading up to the game. He's a little brother to me, and 50-50, we keep him. I've been listening to what's going on with him at night. This week's very, very, very busy for him. There's a lot of interest in him. There are 3 universities coming after him pretty hard. And his agency is dealing with our athletic director. And we made some strides last night to maybe make some moves to help some things out. But there's a lot of behind the scenes going on to keep him, because you can have the greatest facilities in this new campaign that Biff's launching and Patrick's out trying to raise money for, and we're trying to help behind the scenes get money lined up as well. But we don't want to be a Middle Tennessee State. You got these Liberty University level facilities, but if you don't have the culture and a coach leading it, it's all for naught. So I think we can't step over $1 to pick up a penny here. We need to be business minded, offer him all that we can to keep him here. And then the excitement will continue, because the excitement's not in facilities. The excitement is in the enthusiasm of the leadership and the vision he's casting. And then the strategy and tactics that are going with it are absolutely critical. So I think if you land him and lock him down, at least add on to this big year that he just came off of, I think they did save some money by his 2 losses at the end of the year. I think if he takes those down, we've never touched him. But I think we got an opportunity he loves living here. He loves raising his family here. He's a devout, faithful man to his church, and he doesn't want to uproot his family right now. But he also understands that window in his world is very small, and you got to strike when the iron's hot.
Trevor, the late Dr. Edsel Matthews, I remember he used to call certain coaches kid magnets. And they were guys that kids, regardless of how old that coach was, those kids just wanted to be around. And that seems to me to be Ryan Beard, and just the personality and the passion and the drive and the motivation. The videos of him in the locker room, I want to put on shoulder pads. First time I get hit, I'm out. I'm gone. But
you're good for one more.
I mean, is that what we're dealing with Ryan Beard, Trevor, in your mind too? That kind of a kid magnet?
Well, first of all, Scott, you're part of the problem. If guys like you and I, or like you'd quit talking about how good he was, maybe we could keep this a secret for a while.
He sucks. Leave him alone. He's got a drug problem. He's got 7 wives. I'll start all these rumors. Yeah. Yeah. We need to soft pedal this, don't we? Yeah.
I'm not above a slander campaign at some point.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, that's who he is. And he's genuine, and that's why these kids love him, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was the exact word that I was going to use to describe him, is how genuine he is as a person, and he is extremely motivated. And listen, he's young and excited as well, and they pick up on that, and he's giving them this "we are in this together" mentality, which is a powerful thing. And as a result, these guys are effective, they're having fun, other guys want to be a part of it. That makes recruiting a lot easier, because guess what? If your players recruit for you, there's nothing better than that. And so, Ryan, we're very blessed to have him, as Kirk said, and we selfishly would love to have him as long as we possibly can. And we do have some intangibles at this level. As you guys have seen the chaos that's happened this week in college football coaching. Front page news, and for some of these guys you can afford to take a big risk if the number's big enough, but for other guys, they'd rather be a big fish in a little bit smaller pond head coach rather than a hidden away coordinator. We're a great community, and like Kirk said, if he stays, it's going to be because he loves the community, and he wants to kind of finish what he started and go to the next level. And as I remind him only about every 48 hours, is that if he stays 10 years, we'll build a statue of him, whereas they'll forget him somewhere else.
I'm just sitting there thinking Patrick Ransdell will watch this and go, okay, great. You guys just cost me another $1 million. Thanks. All of you shut up. Yeah. Bowl game. We're going to find out Sunday night. I know the university will find out a little earlier so they can start making plans. Will the Football Players Association go wherever, and will there be a function there to help continue to build momentum for your organization?
Yeah, we'll definitely be there, regardless if it's in Frisco or Albuquerque or Florida or Hawaii. We'll go. Decide based on our relationship with the local Budweiser distributorship. Joey Kaiser would bridge that gap for us, and we would have some sort of pregame or postgame, or certainly if we're there the day before, we would have some activities to shake hands, sign up, have a player come over and talk to us, be involved, whatever the players are going to be involved in. Trevor and I have been very blessed to be around these guys, and they always want us around them because, we're helping them after football. So we just stayed in front of them a lot, and we're going to be there to support them regardless of where they go.
Trevor, same thing. You going to be there?
Yeah, we'll definitely be there regardless. I mean, this is what we've been hoping for, and the fact that it happened quicker than we thought is just amazing. As you said, the one negative, and I was talking to the president the other day, and he was saying, the one unique challenge for the university is finding success so quickly is they're trying to backfill that with support, right? Because when you go to a bowl game, you want it to be a success, because people forget some schools that are invited to bowl games will end up not going. And you say, well, why would that be? Well, it costs a lot of money and it takes a lot of resources to pull this off. So one of the things that President Williams has really, and Patrick Ransdell have been trying to push is, okay, we got what we asked for, but hopefully we can get the support. The one challenge with that is, and Kirk touched on it, and you mentioned it first, with the Sunday being the bowl announcement show, that's a really quick turnaround for some of these bowl games, specifically around the holidays. So that's where back to a comment you guys made earlier, I do hope we end up somewhere logistically attractive, like a Dallas area or something, to where Missouri State can travel well, very strong presence with a short turnaround.
Very good. Well, guys, again, how can people learn more about the organization and become a part of it?
I'll put Kirk's personal cell phone number on Twitter tonight. They can just call him. If that doesn't work,
have that by now.
Yeah. Well said, Scott. Well said.
Well, these are newcomers. We're looking for new blood. I want new people. I want new people calling Elmquist. Yeah. So if people want to get involved and or support, both would be great. Once again, they can go to MissouriStateFootball.org.
Okay, awesome, guys. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate the time and effort you guys are putting in, because people don't know this, but you guys actually have real jobs too, and so this is kind of the fun thing you get to do on weekends, right?
That's right. Well, we appreciate you, Scott. Thanks for promoting,
guys.
Always pushing the envelope for us, man.
You bet. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Scott.
You bet. Trevor Crist and Kirk Elmquist of the Missouri State Players Association, Football Players Association, doing great work behind the scenes, and the numbers that they are accumulating to be able to help Coach Beard keep and get players. I mean, that's the world we live in now. You got to pay keep them and pay to get them. And those kids are all looking at the situation and say, where's my piece of the pie? A lot of them are a lot more reasonable than others, but that's the college football world we play in now. So appreciate their time. Big thank you to our sponsors. Thompson Sales are located at 1555 East Independence in South Springfield. They've been in business since 1919, and they are your home for the largest selection of Cadillacs, Buicks, and GMC's cars and trucks, new and used, and a great service department to take care of your vehicles from start to finish. I've bought cars from them since the early 80s. Actually got a new one last week, started a new lease with them, and was in and out of there. A very smooth process, and you always feel like they're treating you like family because that's what they've done since 1919, since the Thompson boys have been dealing since 1919. Also, big thanks to our sponsor, Colton Steakhouse of Springfield. They're at 2020 East Independence, just down the street from Thompson's. Matter of fact, buy a car, go down there, have a great meal. Go say hi to Thomas Orr and his great staff there at Colton's. Try the Montana burger. That's one of my favorites. If there's a better burger in Springfield, I've yet to taste it than the Montana burger. Barbecue sauce, cheese. The meat is like ground up steak. It's a treat. So go see Thomas and the folks at Colton Steakhouse. Have a new sponsor coming on next week. Welcome in Deadeye Gun and Pawn in Sparta. We'll tell you more then. But until then, we will see you next week. That's going to do it for this episode of Around the Ozarks Sports Scene.